and I hope you're doing safe too. So, in today's session, we are going to look into some of the features that are going to explain how the work life of a technician can be made easier, how you can make the requesters to use the self-service portal of Service Desk Plus, and we will look into some of the configurations under the admin tab of the Service Desk Plus application. So I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know once you're able to see it. Okay, I hope you're able to see my screen. Could you confirm in the chat so that I can proceed? Okay, I think this is my Showtime Zoho. So I think that's the reason it's showing to be very small. How about now? I'm showing you the presentation. Are you able to see my screen now? Fine. Okay, fine. So let's get started. So as told, like today we are going to see some of the features that will help the work life of a technicians, right? So the first few set of features that I have taken, I'm going to explain how they are going to make the work life of a technician easier, how it is going to improve their productivity, and how efficiently can they manage using these features in place in Service Desk Plus. Okay? So starting with the Kanban view for request. So let's get into the application. Okay, so I'm logged in as a technician now. I'm logged into the application and I get to the request view of the application. So as soon as I get into this request list view, you can see that this is the traditional or the classic view of request list view. So far we have been having two views, the table view and the classic view in Service Desk Plus. But now we have introduced a new view called as the Kanban view. So there are two benefits of using the Kanban view. One is visually appealing. The visual appearance is going to be really good for the technicians. And second, managing between the request is going to be easy for the technicians. So I'll just click on the view and then you can get to see for yourself. So as soon as I chose the Kanban view, you can see how neatly the dashboard is presented. You have all the work items, the request in order. So I have three parameters based on which I can group all my work items. So if I want to view all those tickets under each and every technician, then I can group by technician. Or if I want to see each and every ticket based on their priority, which is based on the priority being assigned, I can see it accordingly. Or if I want to view it based on the status of each and every request, I can view it. So in a single glance, in a single dashboard, I'm able to differentiate or classify how my requests are segregated, what is their progress, and how I need to proceed further. All this I can quickly manage from here. So you can manage it for any view, any filter. So right now I have set it to all request. So if I want to view my own open or unassigned tickets, I can view them. I can use the advanced filter option where I can furthermore filter the request based on specific criteria. Or if I want to sort out this filter based on a specific parameter, say I want to sort out this all these requests based on the created date, I can choose that parameter from the list here. So there is a whole lot of parameters that we have introduced, and based on your requirement, you can choose the appropriate parameter based on how the ascending or descending order of filtering needs to take place. So this is how I wanted to mention how visually appealing it is. And the second benefit which I told you is that the technicians will find it easy to manage. So when I say easy to manage, let me switch back to the traditional view. So say for example, I've got these many tickets assigned, they're all in unassigned status. So if I want to assign this to a particular technician, I have to choose all these tickets, which is one button click. I have to go to actions, edit, and then I have to assign. I can assign it from here, or if I want to set the status or the priority, I will have to come from here. I will have to do the edit option and then I'll have to make the changes. So a minimum of 3 to 4 clicks is needed for me to proceed further, right? But with Kanban view, all I have to do is to drag and drop it. So say I choose technician. I have a number of unassigned tickets here and I would like to appropriately assign them to the technicians. All I have to do is to drag and drop it. So once I drag and drop it, I will be able to correctly assign it to each and every technician. So the same thing can be done for the priority too. So say for example, it was a high priority ticket, this one, and I have understood that the issue is no more critical. It need not be a high priority ticket, so I can move it to a low priority status. So all this can be managed within the Kanban view. So at any point of time, if you have any problems, if you're not able to see my screen, or if you think you lost the connection, or if you cannot hear me, please do let me know in this box. I will frequently come and visit here to make sure that you're all right and you're able to cope up with me. So moving on to the second feature, this is about customizing the details page of the request. So we talked about Kanban view and how visually appealing it is. Now let me get into one particular ticket. So I click on this ticket here. I get a small glimpse of how my ticket details are. What are the ticket details I have? So I can just click on view details here at the top and it will take me to the particular request, to the details view section here. So here I can see many information on the right side. I can take a quick view at the status, the priority, the technician to whom the ticket has been assigned, so on. And if I further scroll down, I can check if this request is assigned to a particular technician, or I can view the requester details. So here, depending upon our requirement, I would like to modify the layout of how this particular request looks like. Say, for example, I have this checklist tab at the end. I do not want this to be at the end. I want the history tab to be at the end, and I would like to have the checklist next to the resolution tab. So this way it will be convenient for me to make sure that I attend to all the tabs and all the sections. So for bringing convenience to the technicians, we have brought this request details customization layout. So at the top right corner, if you see, you have the settings icon where you can configure or we can design the layout independently for a technician login as well as for a requester login. So say I click on technician layout, I can decide whether I need to remove any particular section or add any particular section. So I have this requested detail sections removed already, and if I would like to show it, I can add it. And if I do not want to show the entire right panel because it's consuming most of my space, I can simply disable it and it gets hidden. I can drag and drop the tabs, I can drag and drop the sections to accordingly align them based on my convenience. And in addition, if I want to give the liberty to each and every technician to customize their own layout, all I have to do is to enable this option over here. So once I enable this option, whatever changes that I do as an administrator here does not get reflected to the other technician profiles. They can again use their settings icon to go ahead and customize the way they like. So this is available for technicians, each and every technician, and also for requesters. So with this, I'm just saving this. And as I've disabled the right panel, now I can see that I can see a full view of the ticket. The space that was occupied by the information on the right panel is no longer available. I get a clear view. And this is how convenient I feel. And that is the way I have designed it. Okay. So I hope everything is going fine. Now we talked about request details page customization. The next is about mentioning technician in the notes. Now here I'm taking a small scenario, an example for your understanding. So let's get back to the view. So let me look for one of the tickets here. Okay. So say for example, I'm a shift-based technician. We work on shift basis. So I happen to receive a high priority ticket. It's a critical server with many critical applications hosted on the server. And now the server CPU is spiking high at 90%. So now it's created as a high priority ticket and we are trying to bring down the CPU percentage. So as a technician, I try to do the initial checks. I try to see which service or which application is consuming most of the CPU and is there any memory leak? Is it because the hardware components of the server is too low, or is it because it's running on an old software? I can do all these preliminary checks before I proceed further. So I do all these checks, and now it's the time to end my shift. My shift is getting over. It's time for me to transfer this ticket to another technician who is coming for the next shift. So I assign this ticket to the next shift engineer. But before I assign it to the next shift engineer, I would like to make sure that I document all the checks that I have done, and I keep my supervisor notified of the checks. Because tomorrow, this is a high priority ticket. I'm dealing with a critical server. I do not want it to leave unattended. I want to show what I have done so that I can transfer the knowledge to my next shift engineer for him to take it forward. So I also like to keep my supervisor informed about it. So what I do in earlier cases, in earlier scenarios, or in earlier versions of Service Desk Plus, if I have to think of the scenario, I will either have to drop an email to my supervisor, or if the supervisor is not in the office, I will have to make a call if he cannot attend to his emails. Or if he's in the office, I can either use the chat system of Service Desk Plus or any chat system that I use to directly communicate to the supervisor. And I will have to manually put a note here stating that yes, I have conveyed my supervisor about this information, but there is no specific record as what I have done it, right? But now we have introduced an option to mention technicians in notes. So when I add a note, so I have added a note here. So I have added a note stating all the checks that I have done. So I have tagged my technician, my supervisor, Answer, stating what all checks I have done here. So the moment I tag Answer will be notified. He will receive a notification mail to his mailbox, and he will be able to have a look into it. He can also come to this ticket and have a look into the note that I have given. So here is a sample mail that Answer has received. So it says, hello Answer. So the so and so technician has mentioned you in a note for this following ticket, and this is the note or details that you have. So at any point of time, I can just click on this request. I can take a look at what has been done on the request. What is the latest update on the request? So this is about mentioning technicians in notes. Now, the next is group chat. So let's continue with the same example. I know this is a critical priority. I've assigned this to a next shift engineer. So a new shift engineer comes, he handles this ticket, and since he finds the CPU spiking high at 90%, he would like to reboot the server once and check if that is fixing the issue. Yeah. So as I told earlier, there are many critical applications hosted in this server. I cannot go directly and just do a server reboot as I like. I will have to immediately check with the technicians concerned. I will have to get their consent before I go ahead and restart the server, right? Now, again, in earlier times, what I can do, I can drop an email to the entire support group, application support group, so requesting for one of the technicians' consent, or I can check for each and every technicians present in the support group. I can check who are all a part of the application support group, and then I can try to reach out to them one by one. Or I can assign this ticket itself to the application support group and wait for someone to acknowledge. Yeah. But all these are going to be time consuming. I will not know when exactly they can come back to me. So, what is a quicker way for me to reach a particular technician? Through chat, right? So, let me take you to another server just to show how the group chat works. So, I'm logging in. So, I'm here. I'm acting as the technician who is currently handling the high priority ticket, and I would like to get the consent from the particular technician. So, let me log in to my account. So please bear with me while I get the details. Okay. Okay. So I'm logged in here with my account here, and I'm dealing this high priority ticket, and I want to speak to someone in the applications team. So if I'm a part of the group, all I have to do is to click on this group chat and I can find the appropriate groups that I have access to. So I can click on this applications group, and if I click on this group, I can see how many technicians in the group are active. So there are two users active right now. One is me. So I'm logged in, so I'm shown as active. Then I can see another technician called Sean Adams active in the group. Now, I will start to chat with the entire group, and anybody who's active in the group can respond to me. So I just say, hello, Sean, need your quick consent to reboot the advent server. So once I give this information, this is Sean's login. I'm logged in as Sean now. The Sean on the other end, he receives this group chat and he says, he gives the consent. He says, please go ahead. And I get the consent from Sean. So very quickly, I can chat with the group technicians in order to make things very quicker, not having to wait until we get the ticket acknowledged, or until we wait for the ticket to come back to us, or get an acknowledgement through mail. It's very easy to get the acknowledgement through chats. Now, next is we have talked about group chat. So next two features are related to integration with Microsoft. So if you have attended the previous virtual meetup, or if you happen to get the recording of virtual meetup previously, we talked about integrating MS Teams, Microsoft Teams with Service Desk Plus, so that you can do certain set of actions of Service Desk Plus right from your MS Teams itself. So without having to log into Service Desk Plus, you can manage certain operations like creating a, like viewing a request or chatting with a technician right from your MS Teams. This time we have introduced two more features, and one among them is actionable messages for Outlook. So we know that in most of the environments, you all prefer to use Outlook. You would like to, most of the technicians, or I would say the end users, they spend most of the time in Outlook than any other tool. So understanding the popularity for Outlook, we Service Desk Plus have brought an integration to perform certain set of operations right from Outlook itself. So this is applicable both for technicians as well as for requesters. So say for example, I've logged into my Outlook mailbox here. So say as a requester, I create a ticket, and the ticket has been created with the request ID 799. So now it's giving me an acknowledgement email that this particular ticket has created. And once I receive this acknowledgement notification, as a requester, I have an option to add a note in this particular request, or I can view the request details. This is for a requester account. Now let's see what we can do for a technician account. So this ticket has been created, and I have set up a notification rule stating that when a ticket is created, I want to keep certain technicians informed. So if you want to quickly recall that, I can take you to the admin notification rules where we can enable all these notifications. So here is the option. So alert the following technicians by email when a new request is created. So once this notification is enabled, all those technicians here in this list will be notified when a new request gets created. So one such notification is this: the technician is notified that there is a new request created from a requester named guest. So at this point of time, the technician can either pick up the request right from here, or he can view the ticket details. Now say the technician has picked up the request, or the ticket has been assigned to this technician. And I have set up another rule stating that once the ticket is being assigned, and another notification gets sent to the technician. So here is the notification: alert technician by email when a request is assigned. So once he receives this notification stating that the ticket has been assigned, he has an option to add a note, he has an option to resolve the request, and thereby view the ticket details. Now say the requester or the technician is an approver, and the approver is now receiving an email stating that there is an approval required for a request. Here, as an approver, I have this option to approve or reject the ticket right from my Outlook. So there are four actions that can be performed. One is adding note to the request. This can be done by both requesters and technicians. Then as a technician, I can pick up the request or resolve the request. As an approver, be it a requester or a technician, I can approve or reject the request, all from your Outlook. The next is another integration with Microsoft, which is Microsoft Calendar integration. So, in when it comes to a technician's life, if he has to go on a leave, if he wants to be on a leave for a particular day or for a couple of days, he might have access to multiple tools, and he will have to apply in each and every tool, mark in each and every tool about his absence, or he'll have to keep his admin technician notified so that he does it on behalf of the technician. Now, Service Desk Plus is one of the major tools that any help desk technicians would use. And that's one of the major tools where you will have to update your leave. Only then the load management can be efficiently done, correct? So, many of the environments do definitely use Microsoft Calendar, and understanding the amount of environments that use both these tools, we have brought up this integration between Service Desk Plus and Microsoft Calendar integration. So by integrating these two applications, whenever you mark leave on Microsoft Calendar, it gets automatically updated in Service Desk Plus and vice versa. So let's quickly take a look. So I'm just logging out from here. Let me get into Microsoft Calendar. So I'm signing in. I'm a technician, so I'm signing in with my account that I have. So let me quickly grab the credentials. Okay, so I'm logged in and I'm getting into the calendar. So here, any leave that I mark for this particular day, the same thing can get reflected in Service Desk Plus. So I just mark my leave here. I mark it for all day. And let me say I'm going to be away for the day. I just click save. So the same thing should be getting reflected in Service Desk Plus. So in this situation, what typically happens is that once you get to the home page to the scheduler, you can see that it's automatically updated here in Service Desk Plus. So once you do it in MS Calendar, it gets automatically updated in Service Desk Plus. Similarly, if I mark a leave on any day in Service Desk Plus application, the same gets reflected in my Microsoft Calendar too. So this way, the syncing happens in both the machines. Now, the next is resource management. So we just talked about how efficiently the load management can happen if you are able to inform about your leave prior, right? So similarly, resource management is another feature in Service Desk Plus where you can quickly take a look on the number of tasks or load that has been assigned to each and every technician, and thereby you can decide which technician has the least load, which technician has the maximum load, and accordingly you can plan the load. So if you see here, I can see all the technicians listed on the left, and I can see all the tasks of various statuses shown here. I can see that this particular technician has the highest load. So if you see anything marked in red, it means that the person has high load. So I can decide whether this particular load has to be shared with someone who does not have anything. So here is a technician, his name is Jebin. He does not have any load for the entire week. So what I can do is that I can simply drag and drop, and I can put this load across to another technician if required. So automatically the schedule start and end time, if at all you have configured, will change when you change the date and time, and when you accordingly assign it to a different technician. Now, the next option is about recommending a template. So I'll just give you a quick scenario here. I'm just going to show you a catalog, a service catalog that I have designed for any IT asset request form. So say if a person is requesting for a laptop or an external monitor or phones or headphones, I have created a dedicated template, and based on the option that they choose, they will be presented with a set of resource info questions to choose the model. Say for example, if they're requesting for a laptop, I can ask them to choose which model of laptop do they prefer. Do they need to have any specific software to be installed, any drive access to be provided from the laptop? So all these kind of information I can capture if they are going to use this template. So any requester who logs into the self-service portal and makes use of this template can provide the maximum details that any technician would like to hear from the requester. But what requesters generally do, or what is the popular method of sending an email, sending a ticket? It's through email method, right? So what happens is that the in the normal requester, he tries to send a ticket through email to Service Desk Plus. So this is one example. He just says new laptop needed, and he just gives a blunt description stating, please help me with a new laptop at the earliest. Here, I do not have any information what type of laptop he needs, what happened to his existing laptop, nothing of that sort. So, in order to encourage the requesters to use the appropriate template by getting to the self-service portal of Service Desk Plus, now we have introduced an option called recommend template. So all I have to do is to click here, choose the appropriate template from the list. So here it's a service template and IT asset request form, and I send an email to the user. So the user, the end user who is supposed to receive this particular email will be able to get a link. He'll be able to see a link, and he can reply to the link. He can just click on the link, and the page automatically loads with the correct template that we have given. In this case, IT asset request form. And once the form loads, he can fill in all the information needed and submit the request. So this will not be adding as a new request. It's simply that you're updating the request with the correct template and with the correct information. So this way, the requesters will also get to know how many templates are available and how better they can choose between the templates rather than simply having to send an email in those cases. So the next is ZIA and reopening request. So again, if you have attended the previous virtual meetup, or if you have seen the recording of the previous virtual meetup, we talked about ZIA. We introduced ZIA to all the users. So just to recap, ZIA is actually an artificial intelligence system which is developed by Zoho, and it's now incorporated in Service Desk Plus. So previously, using ZIA, it was able to predict the approval actions. So when an approval email is sent to an approver, rather than the approver having to click on the link and take a decision, he can simply reply to the mail with any keyword of his choice. So he can say, if he's ready to approve, then he can say something like continue or confirmed, okay, do it now, anything, any kind of positive words. Or if he wants to reject, then he can give any kind of rejecting words like, budget exceeds, or avoid this request, abandon the plan. So ZIA is capable to predict what this particular keyword is, and accordingly, ZIA will be able to approve or reject the request on behalf of the approver. So this was the initial feature that we released. But now we have additionally released one more feature in ZIA, and that happens to be the customizing the data. Like say, I sent an email, I try to resolve a request. As a technician, I resolve the request and I close the ticket. Now, sometimes what happens is that the user would like to appreciate the technician. So the user comes back stating like, all good, the issue has been solved, or kudos to your team. Now, what happens is that whatever reply the requester sends, be it positive or negative, it reopens the ticket. Now, imagine this scenario where the technician has closed the ticket, he's happy, he left for the day, and after that, the requester replies to the mail. The SLA starts ticking because it's an open status. Now the SLA starts ticking, correct? Now, if the technician comes back the next day, he will find that the ticket has been the clock has been ticking for the ticket for quite a long time, and the SLA might even have got violated. So technically, the SLA is getting violated for a request which was closed long back with a proper resolution provided, and the reason is just because the requester has sent a reply thanking the technician. So you can understand how the scenario looks to be. We have received quite a number of requests for this particular feature stating the scenario, and we were working towards this feature, and finally it has been released. Now, with the help of Zia will be able to predict the words. So say for example, if a requester says something like a workaround is not what we are looking for, we need a permanent solution. That's definitely something negative. So it means that the request has to be reopened. Now Zia will try to predict what this particular statement is, and accordingly it will reopen the request. But if it is something like great service or kudos to your team, then it will understand that it does not mean that the ticket has to be reopened. It will retain the closure of the request. So as you can see here, I've just predicted Zia, and the Zia prediction says that it has to reopen the request. So going forward, if you have this option enabled in Zia, you need not worry about what the user replies. Zia should be able to take care of it. It will be able to predict the statement of the user, understand whether it needs to reopen the request or if it is to retain the closure of the request. So far we have discussed about all the features from a technician's perspective. So you can see with all these features how efficiently a technician will be able to make use of them, and thereby increase his productivity. He can do many more things with this. So he can concentrate on the next level of items that he would like to look for. Now, in the next set of features that we are going to talk about is mainly to promote the requesters to use the portal of Service Desk Plus. So starting with two-factor authentication. So until now, the option that we had is to give the username and password. I simply type the username and password and I get into the application. So we have also introduced password policies in place. So you can tell how the if the password length has to be more than 8 characters, and if you want to force an account lockout, all these options are already available in the application. But adding to all these, we have introduced a new feature, adding a second layer of security, which is the two-factor authentication. So once I enable this, I get two options, two methods through which I can authenticate. One is the email verification. So I get an OTP, a one-time password sent to my email, and then I can use the one-time password to get into the application. Or if I have a Google Authenticator app installed on my iPhone or Android phone, I can use it to scan the QR code and then get into the application. Say there is a delay in getting the email verification code. At any point of time, I also can have my backup verification code enabled, so I can use this code in order to get into the application. So just because I've enabled this, let me quickly log in as a requester and let me show you how this works. So I open it with a new browser. I log in with my test account. So as you can see here, it is asking me to choose an authentication mode, email verification or Google Authenticator. At this point, I would like to prefer to use the email verification mode. So I type in my email address. And once I send this code, it will come to my email address with an OTP, and then from there I should be able to get the code. So right now I have a small problem with my mail sending. I think I just disabled it. So I will have to enable it again to show it. I'll just get it enabled and show it to you in a while. Okay. So while I'm getting that enabled, let's just quickly go to the next features that we have in place. So the next is the preferred landing page of each and every technician or requester. So coming back to two-factor, I'm just disabling this temporarily so that I can quickly make the users login. Okay, so I'm logging in as a requester account this time, and once I log in, I will be able to see either the ESM portal page. If I prefer to use the ESM portal page, I can see the ESM portal page, and I can decide which portal should I logging into. But say, for example, I do not. I'm a technician, and I frequently work with IT help desk. I do not want to always keep seeing this portal. At that point of time, all I have to do is to click on this home tab and it becomes the default instance. So right now I have clicked on this home tab and thus it became the default instance. So let me just remove it, and then you can see now I do not have any default instance in this list. So if I try to log in again, it should take me to the ESM portal page. So right now it takes me to the ESM portal page, and from here I get to decide which portal should I be going to. So I can very well click on any of the home button on any of the portal if I want it to be made as the default instance that I want to log into. So even if I get into IT help desk and then if I want to navigate to the other portals, all the portals are decked here on the left pane and I can choose between the portals, or I can click on this icon here to come back to the ESM portal. Now, the next is the global search across all the instances. Now, say I would like to update my payslip. I would like to view my payslip, or I would like to download my payslip. But I'm not sure which site, intranet site exactly I need to go to. I do not know the application name. And I would like to search for the option. Now, I am having access to two instances, payroll and finance, right? So, I'm not sure which instance exactly can provide me this information. So all I have to do is to type the appropriate keyword, and once I type the keyword, it will be able to show me all the related searches under announcements, solutions, and request from across all the instances. So the instance under which the solution is being created is shown right here. So I understand now that I have to get into the payroll instance where I will be having an option to view the payslip details, or I at least have access to know which site I need to log on to. So similarly, if I have a problem with my Outlook, I would like to search the appropriate troubleshooting steps, or if I want to check the previous tickets that have been created, all I have to do is to look for the keyword. So I can see there is an announcement stating that there is an Outlook crash issue that has been reported and the IT team is working on it. There are a set of solutions that have been presented to me. And if there is any request that I have created with the keyword Outlook, even that will be listed right in front of me. So announcements, solutions, and request, from these three places, I will be able to get all the related search results with whatever keyword I type. And this is going to be a global search, which means this is going to be shown across all the instances or portals that I have in Service Desk Plus. So far we have seen these three features. You can see that when a requester is logged in, how a broad availability of options are there for him. So he is getting an option to look for the best solution. He's getting an opportunity to get into the right instance in order to create a request or to raise a complaint. So requesters are provided with more options if they get into the portal of Service Desk Plus rather than simply sending an email to Service Desk Plus application. Now, the next set of features that we are going to look is related to admin configurations, starting with MIB browser. So, in MIB browser, let me give you a quick introduction on what this MIB browser is all about. So, if you happen to look at the network devices, each and every network devices, they are otherwise SNMP devices. They have an MIB file. It's a management database file which contains all the attributes of that particular network device. So if you happen to take a router or a switch, you might have specific attributes related to it. It could be the Ethernet address, it could be the serial number, it could be the date of acquisition. So anything that describes that particular network device, the SNMP device, they are all called attributes. And all these attributes are stored in a file called as the MIB file. Each and every attribute has their corresponding object identifier, or otherwise called as the OID. So it's a unique identifier capable to identify that particular attribute belonging to one particular model of a router. So this way, if I want to know the details of a particular router of a particular model, I will be able to exactly locate it if I have the MIB file of that particular network device. Now, when it comes to network devices, actually in the market, you have pretty much too many network devices. Like even if you take example Cisco, almost every day or on a weekly basis, Cisco keeps releasing new and new models, in the market. So we, Service Test Plus, we have tried to collect almost all the network devices that are available in the market, and we have stored their attributes in our repository, in our database. But since new devices arrive in the market, we might not have information about all the devices, right? So under admin SNMP configurations, we have an inbuilt tool called as the MIB browser, where all you have to do is to upload the MIB file. You can get this from the device vendor, and then you can upload this, and then you can perform an SNMP walk on this MIB browser to get the appropriate attributes. So when I say SNMP walk, it's like you get into each and every uh, attributes, the entire structure, the hierarchical structure that you see here. You try to find out the information, and then you see here the corresponding object identifier gets displayed. So you can perform an SNMP walk to identify the object identifier of each and every attribute, and thereby you can use them to add the particular device, the network device in the application, and manage it. So all you will be needing is the MIB file and the credentials to access the particular device. So normally we use the SNMP credentials, and it can be of the version 1 or the version 2. Yeah. So this is about MIB browser, which is the inbuilt tool that we have now in Service Desk Plus, and it should be most benefiting the asset administrators who manage the asset module of Service Desk Plus. Now the next is the global FAFR. So here is one scenario here. Under the help desk customizer section, I have this category, right? I've created a number of categories. And if you know, this category is common to three modules: the request module, the problem module, and the change module. So whatever category or subcategory or item that I create here, it can be accessed across all these three modules. Now see, I create a new category called business justification or root cause analysis. And I want that category, I had created this category to be used under the change module or under the problem module. So I do not want any user who is trying to create a request use this category called business justification or root cause analysis, because it's not meant for the request module. So how am I to restrict the users from using this category? So a popular idea that would come into your mind is I can go to this particular template. So if the user is using the portal method, I can go to the template. I can create a field and form rule to hide the category field or hide a specific option of the category. That is what I can think. Or I can create a script here and I can do the appropriate task. But say, for example, I have 30 to 40 templates or more. Should I be going into each and every template and adding this rule? Now, again, you might have this question. See, there is an option under field and form rules where you can copy a rule. So you can select the rule and you can copy the rule and you can put it across to the other templates. But say tomorrow I add more new templates. I copied it to all the templates. So temporarily my problem is resolved. But tomorrow I happen to create an additional 5 or 6 templates. I have to keep repeating this process, right? So what you can do in this case is that we have brought field and form rules as a global option under service catalog section and under your incident management section, where you can centralize any field and form rule that you would like to hide. So say, for example, I want to hide the description for all the fields. All I have to do is to choose all templates and then create the rule here. So this particular rule of hiding the description in all the templates will be applied to all the templates. At any point of time, I can switch to selected templates and I can choose those particular templates to which this rule needs to be applied to. So this is the purpose of global field and form rule. You can apply a particular rule to all the templates or to selected templates from one single location, rather than having to navigate between each and every template, trying to find out which template has the rule, which does not. So it's going to be more beneficial to you if you're managing too many templates and if your environment is really big and if you have too many templates to be managed. Next is the announcement config. So in previous scenarios, if I were to make an announcement, if a technician has to make an announcement, any technician had this option to make announcement. So if I go to the problem module and if I get into a problem, I can make an announcement from here, or I can make the announcement from the change module. I can get into any change request and I can make an announcement from here. So this option was provided to all the technicians. So this can even go for misusing the announcement option. So certain technicians, they might send out a notification. They might create an announcement without getting proper approval. So this announcement is something which will pretty much reach all the users of the organization. So it's very important that you make sure what you announce, and everything needs to be proofread. It has to be reviewed by the appropriate senior technicians or the management before you make an announcement. So understanding the criticality of publishing an announcement, now we have brought a restriction where only the technicians, apart from the admin technician or a technician with an admin role, any other technician who wants to make an announcement needs to have this role announcement config associated to him. So only those technicians which has SD admin access or the announcement config role associated to them will be able to make announcements hereafter. It's not available to each and every technician. This is mainly brought to make sure that unnecessary announcements or invalid announcements are not published across the portal. Now, the next is portal specific translations. So I'm sure you might be knowing that we have this translation option. So if you're not convenient with a particular word, if you do not want to read out a particular keyword in the application as such, you want to modify it based on your way, you have an option to translate the word. And this translation was common to all the portals, all the instances of your ESM directory. If you have ESM configured, it was common to all the instances that you have. But now we have introduced portal specific translation. Here is an example. So I belong to the HR team. So normally, if you look into HR team, they do not call technicians as technicians. They would like to refer to an HR representative as an agent. Most of the HR portals, the HRMS systems that they use, they refer to HR managers as agents. They do not refer them to as technicians because they are not more towards technical kind of troubleshooting. That lies in the hands of an IT help desk technician. At the same time, they are not used to the ITSM words like request, incident request, or service request. They refer to them as tickets. So I would like to make these translations specific to the HR team and not to the other portal translations. I would like to maintain calling request as request and technicians as technicians under my IT help desk. But when it comes to my HR team, I would like to name them differently. So in this situation, we have brought this feature, portal specific translation, where you can decide which portal needs to have what all to be renamed, and it will be specific only to that particular portal alone. So these are some of the features of the admin configuration. Now, there are two features under the reports module that we would like to highlight, because over the years, I think we have received multiple requests for knowing the login and logout hours of the technicians. It's mainly to improve to check, analyze the KPI performance of the technicians. So if I go to the reports module now, the first folder, login reports, I have a set of reports. It shows how many technicians have not logged in for the past 30 days, and how many what is the last login and logout time of the technicians, the number of login hours, the login hours of the technicians, the duration. So all these are now available as inbuilt reports in the application. So in previous scenarios, we used to provide queries to the customers who come to us requesting for this, and we understand how much important it is, because these are some of the key parameters that we use in order to analyze the performance, the KPI metrics of any technician. So understanding this requirement, we have brought them as inbuilt reports. Not just that, if you happen to know, we have also brought the search functionality in reports. So if you want to search for any particular report, all we have to type is the keyword, and then the application is capable to retrieve the appropriate search results. And next is the history based reports. So under custom reports now, previously under all requests, you just had incident and service request. But now we have added a few more options like status changed history, technician changed history, group changed history. So the historical changes that have happened in a particular request, like if there is a request created, how many groups has it gone through, how many technicians has it gone through, how many statuses did it pass through, all these kind of history can be captured through the reports over here. So you can generate the appropriate report based on your requirement, and you can capture the historical information of the request. So these are few new things that we have brought in the application. Not just that, if I just proceed to the reporting wizard, you can also see there are few more new columns that have been introduced in the reports. One example is the time elapsed. So previously you did not have response time elapsed or time elapsed columns. Outside operational hours, the assigned time, which means at what time a particular request was first assigned to a technician. So all these are new columns that we have brought in the application. So in the last virtual meetup, we talked about OLA, which is operational level agreement. It's an internal agreement that is agreed upon by the technicians, group technicians that are working on a request. And based on OLA, we also brought dedicated reports for that. So OLA related fields are also introduced in the application now. So if you get a chance to look at all these features, all these columns, you will get to know how much more we have enhanced the reports module to. There is possibility that you might be using query reports until now in order to manage them. You can get rid of them because they're now already available in the application. So this is the end of our session. So thank you so much for your time on the session, for hearing to all the features that we have discussed. I hope they were really valuable. I hope you were able to learn some of the new features that we tried to see. And I hope you will be able to go ahead and implement all these features. Let all the technicians and requesters of your environment know. Get them also to try these features. This should definitely help you and also the other technicians to feel easier in terms of how they work, to make the number of button clicks less, to make their work comparatively less